Hello friends, family and other creatures of the sea, and welcome back to another high-level best of 3 of StarCraft 2. The greatest game in the world, played by the rank 9 in the world versus the rank 14 in the world, as according to Illegalak, that's what they currently are. Classic sitting in the top, well, on the rank 14, ByuN rank 9 has dropped a little bit, used to be a solid top 6, top 5 player, but in the past month and a half has dropped a couple of ranks. Classic stabilized after a pretty meteorical rise once he came back from the military, but now has been fairly stable, somewhere floating around that top 15 for a while. ByuN deciding to open up with an extremely fast, I think this is going to be a triple Hellion build, if I'm not mistaken. This is a very rare build order. It's a build that I can't really recall having seen before. There is no CC with this, and a lot really relies on this initial Hellion pressure to deal some serious damage. We're going to get a Marine move out with it as well. I'm not sure what the goal of the Marine move out is. Perhaps to scare, perhaps to keep units at the front so that the Hellions in the back can actually deal some serious damage. Viking Cyclone? There is still no natural command center, so this is going to continue on. Oh, he's going to do it the other way around. My bad. So we're going to get the drop in the main base, and the Hellions will head in towards the natural. Adepts do not quite scout it. Hellions now should start moving in as the drop enters the main base. We have 5 Marines and an SCV. That's going to be there for some potential damage. Hellions spot the Oracle. Oracle instantly sends its pulsar beam out. So that's minus 25 energy. This should be a full wall temporarily. He should try to temporarily full wall this. That would be huge for him. Vikings now being popped out. Cyclones. 2 more barracks coming out. This is a dedicated 1 base all in out of ByuN. Could have thrown down that CC, but decides no. That's not what I'm going to be doing. Viking here. Taking a couple of free shots on those oracles as another cyber core is being built. First Cyclone has made its way across the map as the second Cyclone is now on the way over as well. We'll see more Marines in production, 4 Marines being built at a time, or at least the capacity for 4 Marines. No, it's gonna go double tech lab. So we see a stim combat shield follow-up, good pickup here on that Cyclone. Nice control, but the super battery is going to keep all of those forces alive. Does mean the end of the super battery as double oracles now heading in towards the main base. They're gonna get the scout on the extra barracks and just get a lot of worker kills here. This feels extremely bad for ByuN at the moment. The moment Classic realizes, by the way, there is no natural here, that's going to be a game-changing moment. Because now Classic knows that all he needs to do is survive. As a Robo Bay is already on the way, Hellion's actually getting a lot of damage in the main base, but losing 9 workers isn't so bad if you're up 25 workers. Battery is about to end here. Immortal actually in a little bit of trouble. The Cyclone, I think, still is locked onto it. Good pickups here on that Cyclone. It's 38 supply to 62, but army supply is 20 to 26. Overall production is only 2 gateways and a robotics facility. If this pylon gets taken out, it would be a huge deal, but more Stalkers now coming in from the main base. GG gets called. ByuN leaves the game as Classic takes game number 1. An exciting first game, as in a lot of action. But if you're ByuN, not as exciting because he lost it. If you're a ByuN fan, still exciting because I truly believe that he could have it. Defense out of Classic was stellar though, especially given how little info he had. Battery in the front, the gateways, the oracles. I really liked what he did there. I do. I think it looked tight. Ooh, fast second guess. ByuN is... Whoa. I was going to say ByuN is a sneaky one. And when I was going to say that, I hadn't even seen the tech lab yet here on the barracks. This is the... this is what often I have referred to as world's worst build order. This is the build that has never done any damage and never has gotten a Terran in a good position. There was a period in time where a lot of Terrans would play this build with a Reaper first. That one was possibly even worse, which I thought was hilarious. Because the Marine into Marauder Rush was already extremely bad. And then Terrans were like, is there a way for me to hit another 16 seconds or 14 seconds later with my first attack? And we're like, yeah, let me open up with a Reaper. And then they played it. I remember there was a period where ByuN and I would practice quite a bit on the American server, and he would often play the Reaper into Marauder build versus me. I would get extremely far ahead, and then I would lose the game because I am significantly worse than him. And then afterwards, I would tell him, please stop playing this build, it's extremely bad. And he'd say, but a win. I said, yes, but my dear friend, you would win with absolutely everything. You can open up gasless with triple CC, and you'd probably still be ahead. Or, well, not ahead, you'd still probably be capable of winning the game because you're so ridiculously good in the mid game. Like, this never deals any damage. It's like 2 Marauders into nothing. This could have just been more Marines already, which means there's more potential pressure coming out of an attack like this. You have potentially better defense against air as well. Like, it makes it much easier for the TOS to do whatever they want, because any type of factory opener is going to be delayed due to the gas you invest into the concussive shells, into the 2 Marauders early on. It means the medevac will be delayed, so it's really chill to play this as a Protoss player, to be honest. There's going to be way less Marines as well, because rather than having a fast reactor, which increases production, you have a tech lab, which does nothing to your production. It just slows it down by 18 seconds. So I legitimately think this is the worst build in the world that professional Terrans semi-consistently play. It is really easy to scout because you also see the tech lab there. And I haven't actually found a single Terran being capable of defending why this build is good. The only reason why they think is good is because they sometimes win a game after they opened with this build. They never win with the build. They win despite of the build, like 12 minutes later. It's like, and then they make a positive mental note. It's like, another win with this build. It's like, no, that is not how build orders win. Like, we can evaluate the situation in different ways than just seeing whether it was a win or a loss. So we're now in a spot actually where Classic had basically a free opener. He went double Oracle into a really fast third base, into quick robotics facility, and a fast robo bay. This has to be one of the most, well, honestly, one of the greedier openers that you could play. Is going to lose an Oracle, while also having the ability to counterattack with Oracles. And I believe this to be, honestly, relatively safe. The push out that's coming here is 10 Marines, 2 Marauders, 2 Cyclones. If you lose another Oracle, that would be really bad, though. What? Oh, almost lost it. I thought that high ground would provide some coverage there from the Cyclone, but it didn't. Stimpack now finishing up. Unless Classic really mismanages this defense, he's going to be just fine. It's going to be in a brilliant spot here. With the first Colossus coming out, some more Phoenixes in production as well. Observer is going to help him. In an ideal world, 2 Oracles are still alive, and you're counterattacking with these Oracles, trying to pick off like a refinery or a depot or some of the reinforcements that are being built. That's not quite the case, though. Instead, what we have is we have defensive setup here out of Classic, who still has very nice eco. But yeah, just having very nice eco doesn't do so much for you usually. Unless you also have the very good tech, which actually he does kind of have, doesn't he? Is this the first Colossus? No way. I guess it is. Drop in the natural hits. Marines are stimming in. Classic not quite in position with everything. At the same time, we still have a small force waiting to enter the third base eventually. I can only imagine. So Colossus pops. 5 probes do go down. What are we planning here, ByuN? Love his movement in this game. Love the movement. 3rd CC also gets set up over here on the third base location. Does come with a little bit of risk, but it's a risk ByuN is willing to take. Next 2 medevacs coming in, he's gonna pick up drop into the main. I can feel it. This is such a ByuN-esque move, honestly. Yeah, this is such a typical ByuN play. He now has 3 armies set up. Really, it's just 2 armies and then 1. I wouldn't call this an army. This is like a drive-by into the third base for the last bit of chaos that you want. So he's gonna drop despite scanning and seeing a Colossus here, but he sees that there's nothing that can catch his army. At the same time, Phoenixes are stopping this army from dropping in. Potentially could go in towards the third base instead. 5 more workers go down. Super Battery will save the Robo Bay. Classic in a bit of a supply lead here, despite losing 10 workers. Okay. 11 workers and an Oracle. Classic is still in an absolutely fine position. That should tell you everything you need to know about this double Marauder build. And its weakness. The early greed that the TOS can get away with is still working in Classic's favor now. He is relatively low on infrastructure, which is not something we should take lightly. Really, at this point in the game, you want to have slightly more gateways ready to warp stuff in. That's not the case yet. ByuN believes that he can attack into this. I mean, it's only a single Colossus. 2 batteries are definitely going to be helping out. Charge not done yet is also aiding ByuN in this attack. The Oracle is lost, which is wild for a unit that can see into the future. Has high speeds. The Protoss version of map hack. Don't even have to pay for it. No need to infect your computer with malware hidden in the hex. No. You just build the Oracle. All is good in the world. The Revelation spell. It's high speeds. Should be capable of almost always showing you exactly what the opponent is up to. The fort base does get thrown down here. A couple of Templars on the way. Now, usually I'd say he's gonna morph these instantly into Archons. But I've seen a lot of Classic play, and he loves getting Storm Colossus. He's in love with that comp. And I'm not in love with that comp, but whenever I see Classic play, my heart starts beating faster, my friends. Because it looks cool. It looks cool and it looks pretty good. Another thing that he likes to do is to go for a swift transition into Airtos. So he'll sit on 4 bases, and where a lot of Protoss players, they sit on low gases on 4 bases, so they'll often say, just on 4 gas, just the gases from the main and the natural. And then they don't take their gases here, they go for a fast 4th, fast 5th, high gateway count. Classic often does something different. He wants to go into quick 8 gases. Yes, here we see it already, air weapon upgrade, then we see him throw down Fleet Beacon, 2nd Stargate, and he just defends with an army consisting of, well, really Storm, Colossus, maybe a couple of Blink Stalkers. Immortals are always in the mix as well. It's just a lovely composition of units. Only went up to 2 Colossus, by the way, here, which is a fairly low number. Clem was talking to me about these types of carrier composition. He told me he really struggled with them. But then whenever I see Clem play against it, he never really loses. It's like, yeah, it's nice that you struggle with it, but usually I want more than to make my opponent struggle. I want to win as well. So I'm curious to see if it's going to work out this time. So one of the main weaknesses of this composition, or of this style, is that the transition into carriers is a very slow one. It takes a long time to tech into carriers due to the Fleet Beacon and the need of Stargates often. And then also carriers just have a very long building time. They're pretty supply heavy. And if you want to properly transition into them, I think you're going to need at least, 3 Stargates usually. 2 to 3 Stargates. I think 3 really is the correct amount. Because with 2 it takes so freaking long. Having 1 or 2 carriers also isn't enough to really have an impact, because usually there is already some idle Vikings due to the earlier Colossi that you build in your army. So yeah, this is a long and painful process in which you are vulnerable, because you have a lot of supply in things that aren't fighting for you, mainly stuck in Stargates. As we do get the scan here, ByuN sees the Fleet Beacon. And if I know that there's going to be a carrier transition, then ByuN definitely should know. He's going to be much more familiar with Classic's playstyle. Both of these players have known the latter quite a bit. Classic now trying to take a 5th base. I think this is an unnecessary risk and also a non-committed risk here out of Classic. I don't think he actually gives a crap about this 5th base. He's saying, hey, if I get my carriers up and this 5th base, my position is going to be really good. But the real thing that matters here for me is going to be my carriers. My 5th base is not actually that important. This was a big stasis ward, by the way. Holy crap. Holy crap. First 2 carriers are out. 3rd is on the way. Mothership as well coming out. So we have a couple of Stormers here. Ooh, EMP is good. 2nd feedback there is phenomenal, though. These stasis warded units are about to pop out. I think this is a bad play here. Out of Classic, he gets a Storm ahead of time. That's nice. But this is a huge army, and his army kind of sucks, to be honest. This was a huge blunder here out of Classic. Surprised that he went for it. He's gonna send in the super battery, but yeah, GG gets called. ByuN wins game number 2 and ties up this series. That brings us to game number 3. I think if I'd had a penny every single time Classic lost while transitioning into carriers, just in the past 2 weeks, I think I would have about 4 or 5 pennies. Because I've seen Classic lose to this quite a bit. Now, once he gets there, he's really good. But if he doesn't get there, it feels like he was in a good spot already. And if you're in a good spot and then still die in the transition, I can't imagine what it looks like if he's in a bad spot and then tries to go for the transition, you know? It just, yeah, it seems rough. I also wonder if going for Immortals in the mix is the best thing, or maybe you want to add a couple of Disruptors. I guess Templar Disruptor can be pretty tricky to control, but if you're capable of doing it, it's very powerful. It's hard to say, though. Either way, we're here in game number 3 on Alcyone. As we have seen a recent development where people kind of stopped Reaper walling. One of the main reasons for this being is that the Reaper wall often feels more like a liability than an asset. It's like, it's really nice that the Reaper can't go in, but if you build your pylon, in order to Reaper wall, your pylon needs to be here. That means that your tech will be built in this location or in the natural, because you only have 2 pylons ready by the time you want to throw down your tech. You can't have a 3rd pylon. It doesn't fit in the build. It would delay everything by a lot. Your eco gets worse, it's less safe. Just take it from me, it's not possible. So very often your tech gets revealed for free. And second of all, it also means that this pylon, the gate and the cybercore are very vulnerable from a low ground attack. So I actually felt that a lot of the time, yes, I kept the initial Reaper out, woohoo, but they still got the information on my tech. And on top of that, I gave them a massive target, which they often, you know, they took that and were like, okay, if you want to give me that pylon for free, that's allowed. And then they would just take out my pylon, sometimes my gateway that I had on the high ground. And I kind of by myself was thinking about just not walling there anymore. And then I saw a lot of Korean Protoss players also stop walling there. And I like that. I really do like that. I think it's at the high level, I think it's a good call not to wall there. Or at least just do it every now and again, not all the time. I think we did it too consistently. Like all things in life, diversity is going to be key here. And yeah, this wasn't that great for Classic, to be honest. Reaper Wall really would have helped here, because these 2 Reapers wouldn't have been capable of going into the main base. This is a sucky opener here for Classic, and the follow-up is going to be a double mine drop with 4 Marines. Not a huge fan of this build. Actually, I'm not a fan of this build at all. I much prefer the single mine into Cyclone pushes. I think they're so powerful, especially against Oracle openers. This Classic seems to have a very peculiar plan. A very precise plan. The double Oracle into Robotics Facility pretty much every single game so far. Actually, just every single game so far. It's gonna do it once more. Okay, here comes the drop. I would love to see this mine go to the ramp instead. I think that would have been much better. Mines on the ramp, and then the Marines walking in towards the main base. I actually think it would have just been game. Oh, he's gonna get... No, not a shot on anything important. Super Battery gets activated as well. This is still serious damage, though, that's being dealt. A lot of mining time is being lost. Oracles are getting to deal some damage on the other side of the map, which is great. See 5, 6, 7, 8 worker kills. That is significant. That is very significant. I like that. I really do. It felt like Classic was vulnerable here to this type of push. I don't think he actually could have held if ByuN would have just gone into the main base. And like I said, a mine on the ramp. There was no battery there. Of course, ByuN couldn't know that. Now we're going to see a push out. Do we have any SCVs with this? No, we don't. Do we have a battery with it? Yes, we do. Super battery is almost available anymore. The Immortals are being pushed out at a high pace. Oracle's going back in for that counterattack I was mentioning earlier in the second game. Maybe in the first game, I can't remember. Yeah, this is the real power of the Oracles. Look at this. Just going in and you're moving out. You get the full-on scout here as Classic. And you're just dealing so much damage, direct and indirect. Lots of mining time lost, lots of worker killed as well. And now we have 2 Immortals soon, a super battery available within a couple of seconds as well. As long as this Liberator goes down, I think this will be just fine for Classic. At the same time, Viking tries to land in the main base. That's got taken out by a Phoenix. And I think In my mind, this should just be it. We have 44 workers to 28, we have 72 supply to 53, and most importantly, there is no follow-up infrastructure. There's no third base, there's no 2 extra barracks, which means that Stim and Combat Shield are going to be severely delayed. Classic now is looking into taking this third base, which I think is a cool call. It's a good call, it's a powerful call, and it's the right call. This move out is a little bit risky, as in it is impossible for him to lose as long as he sits at home. But he can also just do it because he has these 2 Immortals with a lot of damage output, no tanks available. GG gets hot, Classic wins the game, wins the series, with a really fun style. The double Oracle putting in some work. I do believe that a second battery is going to be necessary in the main base. Had ByuN decided to go there, this could have gone much, much worse here for our Protoss player. But as it stands, 2-1 victory for Classic, and that's going to be it for me today. Thanks all so much for watching. Hope you did enjoy this series. If you did, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see all of you next time for a new video. Thanks, and bye-bye.